You're walking into a room you've never been in before. Eyes flicker up for a second, not long, just enough to scan. Shoes, jacket, posture. The unspoken resume we wear on our bodies. And you're not overdressed. Not flashy. But you chose your clothes like they mattered. Because they do. A jacket with structure. A watch that catches the light but never screams. Clean lines like punctuation on your presence. You're dressed one level higher than everyone else here. Just enough to signal something. But not so much that it screams for attention. And here's the thing. They don't know why they respect you more. But they do. It's not about vanity. It's about priming. The brain is lazy. It uses shortcuts. And one of those shortcuts is appearance. You dress like the job above yours, they start imagining you in that role. You dress like the person in control, suddenly you sound smarter when you speak. Studies back it up. Doctors who wear lab coats are seen as more competent. Teachers who dress sharp are rated higher, even when they say the exact same words. Because the mind links clothing with capability. It fills in gaps with confidence. This is a code. Simple, subtle, silent. But when you walk into a room dressed one level higher, you're already halfway up the ladder before you've said a word. You're at a house party you didn't really want to come to. Someone's indie playlist is bleeding through cheap Bluetooth speakers. The air smells like spiced rum and burnt microwave popcorn. You're nursing a drink, scanning the room when you see them. That one person you can't stand. Not because they wronged you. Not directly. But something about them always rubbed you raw. Too confident. Too smooth. Like their smile was premeditated. And yet, tonight, you decide to try something different. Not revenge. Not avoidance. A trick you read somewhere. You walk up. Hey, weird question. Do you know how to get wine out of suede? They blink. Suede? Maybe club soda? You nod. Could I borrow your soda water then? I saw some in your bag. They hesitate. Then hand it over. And just like that, something shifts. See, the human brain doesn't like dissonance. If I help you, then why did I help you? It starts stitching a story. Maybe I like you more than I thought. Maybe you're not so bad. This isn't manipulation. It's momentum. And it's been around for centuries. Benjamin Franklin used it to turn enemies into allies. He didn't flatter. He asked to borrow a rare book. When they said yes, they unknowingly opened a back door into their own perception. So you take the soda water. You nod, smile. They smile back, less guarded this time. And you both return to the blur of the party, but something's changed. The next time you talk, it won't be awkward. It'll be familiar. Like a door already cracked open. You're staring at the screen. The email's open, blinking. One sentence typed, then deleted. Then typed again. You're trying to reach out to someone way above your level. Could be a boss, a mentor, someone who feels like a few floors up in life. You need something from them, guidance, a reply, maybe a foot in a door that's always locked. But asking for help? That feels needy, risky. Like you're tugging on a sleeve in a crowded room, hoping they'll stop and look down. So instead you switch one word. Hey, I really admire the way you handled X. I'd love to get your advice on something I'm working through. Just like that, the whole frame shifts. You're not a burden. You're someone who values their wisdom. And here's the trick. People are wired to want to give advice. It flatters the ego. It makes them feel competent, experienced, respected. It puts them in the role of the wise character in someone else's story. When you ask for help, you imply weakness. But when you ask for advice, you imply trust. You're saying, I believe you've done something right. I think you see the game from higher up. And most people? They want to believe that's true. They want to be the mentor. Not just the hero in their own story, but the one who shows someone else the map. So next time you're unsure how to connect, don't ask them to do something for you. Ask them how they would do it. Watch what happens. It's late. A bar that's just dark enough to make secrets feel safe. Two people sit across from each other in a booth that's seen more confessions than church. One of them is talking, fast, nervous, their words spilling out like they've been uncorked. You're just listening. But not passively. Not nodding like a bobblehead. You're doing something deeper. Something primal. You match their posture. Not perfectly. Just enough. When they lean in, you lean too. When they laugh, you let your smile echo theirs. They say, it's been a weird week, and you say, a weird week. Not as a question, but as a reflection. They don't notice. Not consciously. But their brain does. Because somewhere in the wiring of human evolution we decided this. People who act like us? Feel safe. This is the mirror technique. Not the cheesy kind where you repeat every word like a parrot at a job interview. No. This is subtler. It's rhythm. It's breath. It's being the song they didn't know they were humming. And the magic of it? It creates trust, fast. Because humans crave familiarity. And when we see ourselves in someone else, even for a flicker, we start to like them. Not because they said the right things, but because they felt right. It's what therapists do. What negotiators do. What con artists do. But it's not manipulation when it's real. When you're actually trying to connect. It's empathy coded into body language. So next time you're in a conversation that matters, don't overthink. Just tune in. Reflect. Echo their rhythm. And watch the walls quietly lower. You're in line at your usual coffee spot. The kind where the music is always just a little too loud and the baristas remember faces but not orders. There's a guy ahead of you fumbling with change, apologizing to the cashier like he's ruined the whole morning rush. You glance at his name tag. Miguel. When he finally steps aside, you say it casually, like it's just part of the air. Thanks, Miguel. He blinks. Pause. And then he smiles. One of those real ones, like his face wasn't expecting it. Here's the secret most people miss. A name isn't just a label. It's an echo of identity. A shortcut to being seen. When someone hears their name, it lights up their brain like a flare. It signals you matter. You exist. You're not just background noise in my day. Dale Carnegie said it best. A person's name is to that person the sweetest sound in any language. Not because it's beautiful, but because it's personal, intimate. It cuts through the static. Think about it. In a crowd, in chaos, in a room full of strangers, if someone says your name, you look instinctively, reflexively, because your name is your anchor, your fingerprint in sound. So when you're talking to someone, really talking, don't just throw words at them. Say their name. Not too much, not too little. Just enough to let their mind lean in. Because when you say someone's name, you're not just speaking. You're programming connection. You're sitting in the passenger seat of a car that's been too quiet for too long. Rain dots the windshield. The kind of rain that makes everything look cinematic even if no one's talking. Especially when no one's talking. They're driving. One hand on the wheel, the other tapping the turn signal like a nervous tick. You said something stupid earlier. Or maybe not stupid, just sharp. Sharper than you meant. Now it hangs in the air like smoke. You want to fix it. But an apology feels like putting a band-aid on a crack in the foundation. So instead, you reach for something softer. Hey, remember that time we got lost on the way to that wedding and ended up eating gas station tacos at 2 a.m.? They glance over. Half a smile. That was a disaster, they say. But a good one. There it is. A laugh. A shared moment. One step back into each other. What just happened isn't random. It's math. Emotional math. For every one negative interaction, it takes 5 positive ones to balance the scale. That's the 5-to-1 ratio. Not flowers and grand gestures. Just small things. A memory. A compliment. A stupid inside joke. We think relationships die from explosions. But most of them just bleed out slowly, one sarcastic jab, one rolled eye, one whatever at a time. And the only thing that stops the bleeding is intentional kindness, stacked like sandbags. Not fake. Not forced. Just frequent. Like refilling the gas tank before the light comes on. Because love isn't built on intensity. It's built on consistency. So in that car, in that rain, when you reach for a good memory instead of another jab, you're not just making conversation. You're saving something. You're in the elevator. 5th floor. Button lit like a silent prayer. You check your reflection in the brushed metal wall, just enough to adjust your collar. Just enough to remember you're here for an interview. Your hands feel like someone else's. A little too sweaty. A little too still. You don't feel confident. But you've read somewhere that if you act like you are, eventually you might be. So when the doors open, you step out with your shoulders back. Not because you are confident, but because you're testing something. An idea. A glitch in the matrix of self-belief. The receptionist greets you. You smile first. Voice steady. Your handshake is firm like you've done this 100 times. You haven't. But they don't know that. And now something subtle shifts. You see it in their eyes. A flicker of belief. And that flicker does something strange. It reflects. Their belief in you feeds back into your posture. Into your tone. Into the version of you that's not pretending anymore. That's the loop. Action, feedback, belief, more action. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you generate. Like heat from friction. Like light from a match. The trick? You fake the first move. Just enough for the world to believe it. And when the world reflects it back, that belief becomes real. Not because you lied. But because you practiced the truth before it showed up. It's not magic. It's math. A recursive algorithm. A self-fulfilling equation. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to act like you might be. And then the loop begins. You're sitting across from them. Maybe it's a boss. Maybe it's a client. Maybe it's someone you love but don't totally trust yet. You've been rehearsing this moment in your head for days. Heart pounding like it's trying to tap Morse code through your ribs. You take a breath. And then you ask. Maybe it's a raise. A favor. An apology owed. Whatever it is, you ask. And then you do the hardest thing most people never manage to do. You say nothing. No justifications. No nervous laughter. No follow-up babble to fill the dead air. Just silence. And now the world tilts. Because silence after the ask is a pressure chamber. Puts the weight back where it belongs, on them. Every second stretches. They shift in their seat. They glance away. The quiet starts to itch. Because in that vacuum your ask echoes louder. Most people panic in this moment. They rush to soften the blow. Oh, but it's totally fine if not. Or, I just thought I'd check. And in doing that, they weaken the spell. They let the other person off the hook. But not you. You sit in the stillness like it's part of the plan. Because it is. Here's the code. People are wired to close gaps. To relieve tension. To answer what's been asked. And silence? It's tension in its purest form. It forces a response. So the next time you need something, ask clearly. Then shut your mouth. Let the silence work for you like a ghost on your side of the table. You're standing outside a food truck just past midnight. Neon lights buzzing like anxious thoughts. The city's quiet, except for the sizzle of something on a grill and a playlist that can't decide if it's funk or lo-fi. And next to you, someone. Someone who caught your eye before you even joined the line. The way they ordered like it was a ritual. Like they'd done this 100 times and still looked forward to it. You want to say something. Not a pickup line. Not a compliment rehearsed in your head. Something real. But real feels too heavy too soon. So you start small. Hey, this your go-to spot? They glance at you, smile, nod. Yeah, that's one. You ask what they usually get. They answer without hesitation. Another yes. Then you say, think it's worth the hype? They laugh. Definitely. And now there's a rhythm. Like stepping stones across a river of doubt. Each yes is a stone. Solid. Trustworthy. Carrying you forward. Until you say it. Want to split a table? Maybe keep the conversation going? They don't even pause. Sure. Because by now their brain is in motion. You didn't just ask them out of nowhere. You walked them there. Step by step. Each yes warmed the next. That's the magic of it. Not manipulation. Just momentum. Salespeople use it. Leaders. Negotiators. Even magicians. Because once someone says yes, their brain prefers to keep saying yes. It's consistency. And consistency in psychology is powerful. You didn't trick them. You invited them into a rhythm. And they danced. You're in the middle of a conversation that feels like a minefield. Words flying. Emotions cooking just under the surface. Maybe it's an argument with someone you care about. Maybe it's a high-stakes meeting. Either way, you feel it building. That tightening in your chest. That need to fill the silence. They finish their sentence. It's sharp. Loaded. Your brain screams, say something. Anything. But instead you don't. You pause. Not long. Just a beat. A breath. But it shifts the entire room. Because here's what no one tells you. Silence is pressure. And the first person to break it often gives away their power. When you pause, something strange happens. People lean in. They fill the space with meaning. They interpret your stillness as confidence, depth, control. Even if inside you're just stalling. It's what skilled negotiators do. What interviewers use. What therapists wield like a scalpel. Because in that 1-second void, the brain starts working overtime. They rethink what they just said. You seem composed, measured. They start chasing your approval without realizing it. And sometimes, that pause is just enough space for your better self to catch up with your reactive one. You don't say the impulsive thing. You say the right thing. So the next time you're in a moment where words are weapons, or where attention is slipping through your fingers, pause. Let the silence speak first.